Voice of the People Television. Now you have more than a voice.
The red carpets, awards, the razzmatazz, music, fashion, interviews, and more. Spotlight on Voice of the People Television. Let's feed you with all the juicy stories in the global entertainment space, bringing you the glitz and glamour as they hot. Stay tuned to Spotlight, 1 p.m. Monday to Friday. Spotlight on VOP TV. Entertainment like never before.
Big news this year. Your favorite Voice of the People television station is now on free to air on Nigecomsat. All you need to do is align your dish using the following: orbit position 40.5 degrees east, 12.685 GHz, 30,000 kilobytes per second. Polarized vertical, frequency 2, 12.731 GHz.
VOP TV. Now, you have more than a voice.
Welcome. The show is hashtag on VOP TV. My name is Vivian Uguche, and it's such a pleasure to have you join us. This is where we're going to tell you all things trending and all things topical on social media, especially on X. So if this is your first time here, accept a very warm welcome from us. Us because the whole team working together to ensure that this is a flawless production. That said, let's get this show on the road. We begin with the very first hashtag. It is a tug of war between Peter Obi and President Tinubu. So our first hashtag for today is Obi versus Tinubu. You remember how some days ago President Tinubu had said that Nigeria is on the right path and all of that. This was when Catholic priests had visited him in Abuja. But this was what caught the attention of netizens and especially the NDC presidential candidate Peter Obi. President Tinubu said that before he was born, there was hunger in Nigeria. So he was saying this thing about hardship did not start with him. Peter Obi has come out to say that was the most insensitive comment to have made today in Nigeria, seen as the buck stops on the table of the president. But in case you missed that video, I'm going to play it for you before we take a look at the post that Peter Obi put up on X. Let's take a listen to President Tinubu.
Has stabilized, running with it. But this government has stabilized, and there's prosperity on the horizon. The quality of life is improving. Yes, before I was born, there was one guy in this country. And I have no control of the population development of Nigeria, trajectory. And that is why you have membership in your various faiths and churches, to give hope to people and give commitment to humanity and the true sense of it.
And that was President Bola Tinubu addressing a group of Catholic priests that had visited him in Abuja some days ago. Now, you remember how he said he had no control over population explosion in Nigeria. He also said that that is why you have religious centers. He specifically mentioned churches, that the churches are supposed to help. This brings me back to what his wife, the First Lady, has said not too long ago to celebrities. And she called names. She said, look, you guys are rich. Help Nigerians who are poor and hungry, even though the celebrities, of course, have fired their own salvo and all of that. But that's a totally different kettle of fish. So Peter Obi is saying this comment that the president just made is totally insensitive. Like I said earlier on, he put up this post on X that's garnered lots and lots of views and, of course, responses. So this is Peter Obi on X. It says, hunger and the insensitivity of Mr. President. I watched with deep concern the statement made by President Bola Tinubu to the Catholic bishops who visited his office, that there has always been hunger in Nigeria even before he was born. While it is true that hunger has been a part of human life and has existed in our country for decades, such a statement appears insensitive to the plight of the millions of Nigerians who face worsening economic hardship today. More importantly, we must focus on the facts and the measurable outcomes of governance. So we're just going to skip to the last paragraph of his post now. So we'll take a look at that one now. And of course, netizens are responding massively to this. So he goes on. Peter Obi now goes on to say that the combination of persistent insecurity, poor economic management, fiscal indiscipline, wasteful public expenditure, and inadequate investment in productive sectors has compounded the suffering of ordinary Nigerians. A responsible government must prioritize investment in education, healthcare, agriculture, security, and small businesses while pursuing policies that create jobs, expand production, and lift people out of poverty. That remains my commitment to the Nigerian people. And he ends by saying the new Nigeria is possible. And he signs, P.O., that's Peter Obi. So one of the netizens now took time to make an infographic out of what Peter Obi said on X. So you see the paragraphs we missed, actually it's not going to be missed because the next infographic you're going to be seeing put up by a netizen is what captures it. Let's go back to the beginning of this post before we show you the infographic. This is Concerned Citizen, and he says, a responsible government must prioritize investment in education, healthcare, agriculture, security, and small businesses while pursuing policies that create jobs, expand production, and lift people out of poverty. That remains my commitment to the Nigerian people. Of course, he just lifted out of Peter Obi's post. Let's take a look at the infographic I was telling you about. That's what he attached to it. That's it. It says, hunger and the insensitivity of Mr. President. Key points from Peter Obi's critique of President Tinubu, July 2026. The insensitive statement. President Tinubu told Catholic bishops that there has always been hunger in Nigeria even before he was born. Appears insensitive to the millions facing worsening hardship today. Food insecurity explosion. Before 2023, 17 million Nigerians in acute food insecurity, plus 18 million doubled. Today, less than 8 years later, 35 million people are suffering from acute food insecurity. Extreme poverty crisis. Before 2023, 87 million in extreme poverty. And today, current projections say 140 million Nigerians now has the largest, okay, so that's it, 140 million Nigerians are in poverty, and Nigeria now has the largest population of people living in extreme poverty in the world. And then leadership failure. Inherited challenges do not excuse poor results. Response has fallen far short. Persistent insecurity, poor economic management, fiscal indiscipline, wasteful spending, inadequate investment in productive sectors. What must be done? Education. Prioritize investment in these areas. Healthcare, agriculture, security, and small businesses. This is from Concerned Nigeria. What it did was to just sit down, take a good look at Peter Obi's post on X, and then bring out this infographic out of it. It's awesome. It's awesome. But hey, there are more responses. Let's take a look at the next one. So this is Patrick Chudi, and he says, the president is frustrated and overwhelmed with problems, and so he doesn't know how to go about it anymore. Therefore, he has resorted to talking tough and being arrogant about the whole thing. But there's another person who has a totally different opinion, right? So we'll take a look at the next post now. It's a huge debate on X. This is Ayo Adebamowo, who says it is not enough for the opposition to constantly criticize the government in power. It is necessary to enumerate what specifically they will do to tackle those same problems. And by tackling problems, we are not talking about making general sweeping statements, but unveiling their specific policies and manifesto agenda. Specifics that Nigerians can evaluate and subject to public scrutiny. What will the opposition candidates, including Obi, do? How and when will they do it? 6 months to the presidential election, none of those vying to replace the current president has published their manifesto. Yet somehow they want Nigerians to magically believe they can or they will fix Nigeria. Make it make sense. But I want to take you back to the last post before this one. Let's take a look at what that netizen say as we make, as we make comparisons between plus and minus, for and against. So this is Patrick Chudi again, who is saying the president is frustrated, therefore he's going about it the wrong way. So it is for and against on X right now. So many applause for Peter Obi, but some are saying, are you going to do better? Some are saying, do not throw stones when you are in the glass house. But others are saying, way to go, Mr. Incoming President. So this is a huge debate. We're waiting to see if presidential spokesperson Bayo Nanuga is going to be saying anything about it, seeing as he responds to practically everything Peter Obi says on X. On that note, we move on to another story, and this is breaking news. Actually, Oyo State Governor Makinde has launched a committee to investigate what really happened that led to the abduction, mass abduction that took place in a state, in Oyo State. You remember that there was a mass abduction. The abductees were in captivity for over 50 days, about 56 days, but they were released or they were rescued because the federal government came out to say that there was no payment of a ransom. We also saw a detailed report from the army that it was really an exchange of gunpowder, should I say, an exchange, firepower between the bandits or the kidnappers and, of course, Nigeria's security operatives. There were casualties on both sides. And so the federal government again reiterated its stance that it did not pay any ransom. In fact, the president addressed the Olubadan of Ibadan just yesterday when he paid him a visit. So that's a totally different kettle of fish. I was just giving you, heads up as to how this one is panning out. So Oyo State Governor Makinde, who, by the way, after the rescue of the abductees, had come out to say that the UN should investigate that event, that he smells rat. So many people came down hard on it. The federal government, the Senate, to say you shouldn't have done that. But there were so many people who also said, yes, Sheyi, you did the right thing. So he has gone on to inaugurate a committee today to investigate the abduction. So I take you to X, so you see a summary of the post. And of course, we take a look at what Governor Makinde himself has to say. It is hashtag Judiciary Commission of Inquiry. Oyo Governor launches probe into school abductions. On Friday, Governor Makinde inaugurated an 8-member Judicial Commission of Inquiry in Ibadan to investigate the May 15, 2026 kidnapping of students and teachers from schools in Orire local government area. Chaired by retired Justice M.A.O. Owade, the panel will establish facts, spot any security lapses, and recommend ways to protect schools and communities. Makinde emphasized preventing future tragedies, calling the attack an attack on every Nigerian child. While clarifying, his UN call sought answers, not criticism of local forces. Makinde himself, the governor of Oyo State, put up a post on X. Let's quickly take a look at it. This says, today we inaugurated a judicial commission of inquiry into the Orire abduction. As I said in my remarks during the inauguration, the assignment of this commission is to establish the facts, identify any institutional or operational lapses, recommend measures that will strengthen the protection of our schools and communities, and help ensure that such a tragedy never happens again. He goes on to say, let me again appreciate the distinguished men and women who have agreed to serve on this commission and wish them wisdom and success on this important assignment. And he goes on to list the people that are on this committee. Honorable Justice M.A.O. Owade is the chairman, GCA retired, Professor Jibrin Ibrahim, Mrs. Ayo Ube, AIG Ngozi Onadeko retired, Barrister Bimbola Orogade, and Major General S.N. Mwazu retired. Mr. Folorinshaw Oshunrayi retired DSS director, and the secretary of his commission, or of this commission of inquiry, is Barrister Mrs. Olamide Sandra Teller. And then he put up this picture of the members of this commission. Let's quickly take a look at it before we take a listen to the governor. That is it. This is really a huge deal. So we keep our fingers crossed to see how this one pans out. Oyo Affairs puts up a video of the governor. Of course, credit goes to Oyo Affairs for this one. Take a listen.
An important step in our collective response to one of the darkest moments in the recent history of Oyo State. The abduction of innocent children and their teachers in the local government area was not merely an attack on the Oyo State and Yawata communities. It was an attack on the right of every Nigerian child to learn in safety and on the confidence of every parent who sends a child to school each day. We remain grateful for the safe return of the victims. Yet our duty did not end with their rescue. Rescue, of course, brings relief. I mean, I'm sure Prof and the rest of us, we are relieved. But truth brings closure. Accountability and reform restore public confidence and help prevent a recurrence. And because justice is not only about punishing wrongdoing, it is about learning enough to ensure that the innocent are never again placed in harm's way. There's a little bit of a story to this. My own father actually taught in Abuja in 1959. He was at St. Luke's. I think they sent them out there for teacher training. So he was there. I was born 8 years later. Let's just assume that he got kidnapped and he was the one beheaded. I never would have been born. Well, okay, maybe by someone else. So it was for this reason that I called on the international community to support an independent examination of the circumstances surrounding this incident. That call was never about diminishing the efforts of our security agencies, whose sacrifices we acknowledge and appreciate. It was about ensuring that every lesson is learned and every question that deserves an answer is answered.
have clarification now on why he asked the UN to investigate the matter. By the way, that was Makinde, the governor of Oyo State. In his speech, you heard him say that rescue has brought relief, but that truth will bring closure. So what are netizens saying? Let's find out. Some are saying, oh my gosh, he will never stop, will he? Others are saying, way to go, Mr. Governor. But there is also a question at the end of the responses. Let's take it to XOCC. Of course, we've got answers for every question here. It is hashtag Commission of Judiciary Inquiry. So this is Sisi. Sisi says, God bless you, sir. And then Samuel says, good job, sir. True Nigerians are fully in support. And then Adeleke Abola says, despite the directive of the Honorable CJN, and directions of the body of benchers, the executive governor of Oyo State still could not resist putting Barrister before names of lawyers on his panel. So what is Adeleke talking about? So is this a thing? Well, it's a thing, but it is not as far-reaching as Adeleke is saying. The CJN, I should say, has put a ban on barristers using barristers as title when they have dealings only with the Supreme Court. And so that's it. For clarification, let's move on to the next hashtag, which is hashtag barrister title. I don't know why that delay was there, but hey, I just told you that before clarification as to what that last netizen said is why we are taking a look at this next hashtag, which is hashtag barrister title. It is a holistic one. So I'm going to take you now online so you see how this one is panning out. It is breaking news. The CJN has asked legal practitioners, lawyers, not to append barrister, the title barrister, to their names when they have dealings with the Supreme Court. The cable has it. It says it's inappropriate. CJN orders lawyers to drop barrister title. Kudirat Kekereekun, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, CJN, has directed legal practitioners to stop using the title barrister as a prefix to their names in all official engagements. The directive, conveyed in a memorandum dated July 13, 2026, was addressed to litigation staff, legal practitioners, court registrars, and lawyers. You see that when they have anything to do with the apex court, talking about the Supreme Court, the prefix barrister should not be added to their names. So let's take a look at the official document here. Let's quickly take a look at it because we have a copy of it. This is it. All litigation staff, legal practitioners, court registrars, and lawyers. The chief registrar, prohibition of the use of title barrister as a prefix to names. And this is dated the 13th of July, 2026. I am directed by the Honorable Chief Justice of Nigeria to notify all litigation staff, legal practitioners, court registrars, and lawyers that the use of the title barrister as a prefix to names is inappropriate and inconsistent with the standards of professionalism expected within the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Consequently, all officers concerned are hereby directed to discontinue the use of the title barrister before their names in all official correspondence, records, documents, identity materials, and any other official engagements with immediate effect. Heads of departments and unit heads are requested to ensure strict compliance with this directive by all officers under their supervision. Please be guarded or guided accordingly. And this is signed Kabir E. Akombi, Esquire. He is the chief registrar. Now, you'll be amazed by the kind of responses you have on X. Netizens are saying, so this is what you want to concentrate on, Abi? When there are so many problems, this is what bothers you, is what they're saying. Others are saying, okay, so this is, if this is wrong, is it right for judges to receive houses from the executive and all of that? It is very nuanced, I can tell you. So I'm going to take you back to X now so you see how responses, netizens are responding to hashtag barrister title, talking about the ban on the use of the title barrister when lawyers have dealings with the Supreme Court. Let's take a look at the responses. due to apologies for all of this mix-up, just due to technicalities. So Fatai Abiodun says, this report is misleading. The directive is for Supreme Court staff. No lawyer, frank document or court process with barrister as title. No lawyer writes official documents with barrister as title is what he's trying to say. The Supreme Court should focus on what matters. There is nothing improper about a lawyer called to the Nigerian bar using the title barrister as a prefix to his or her name. Like a doctor, barrister is a recognized professional title for a lawyer called to the Nigerian bar. Well, Fatai Abiodun is actually responding to the post by the Cable because it looks like the Cable didn't really clarify. But hey, for clarification, it is when a lawyer has dealings with the Supreme Court that he or she is not allowed to use the title barrister. Now, Aondose Gwa says, of all the problems besetting the Nigerian judiciary, most of all, the evaporating public confidence in the impartiality of his pronouncements. Is this what Chief Justice or what the Chief Justice has chosen to occupy her priority? The title, a lawyer, yes, is the question Aondoase is asking. Aondoase actually is a thief, I guess, yeah, from Benue State. Let's take a look at the next set of reactions now, because I got 3 sets of reactions. This is the second one. Fodio says, judges should stop taking bribes. It's inappropriate too. Judges shouldn't receive house gifts from Wike, who would want them to do favors for him at the end of the day. It is also inappropriate. Or Fodio says it is inappropriate as well. Mustafa says, Nigerians with love for titles. The first time I saw SOE of a colleague with engineer before his name, I was like, Nigerians love titles. And Carol goes on to say, majoring in minor. But that's not all. Third set of responses now from netizens, because this is a huge, huge deal online as we speak. Let's take a look at that one. Uchlooks, I'm trying to say, this one almost has me biting my tongue, but it's Uchlooks. Let's settle for that. Uchlooks says, and it's not inappropriate for judges to be collecting house gifts from the president. He's asking the CJN. And then Bungest says, misplaced priority. She should canvass for the judiciary to be autonomous if she is serious. The riot in that institution is why the country is in this mess. Just yesterday, we saw our former Vice President Atiku Abubakar come to say that for Nigeria's democracy to thrive, that elections must be won at the ballot and not the judiciary. And so there have been so many calls for reforms in the judiciary, and so many netizens are zeroing in on this and saying this is what should be given priority. That is, if there's a table of priority. But hey, for clarity's sake, again, for the sake of clarity, the CJN says it is only when a lawyer has dealings with the Supreme Court that they are not allowed to use the prefix barrister. That said, we move on to the next story, which is huge. It is hashtag Lagos CP. So some days ago, a couple of days ago, the Commissioner of Police, Lagos State, attended a City Boy Movement event. It was an inauguration of members of the City Boy Movement in Lagos. And the Commissioner of Police, Lagos State, attended. After that event, the NDC, the mega coalition party, which has Peter Obi as its presidential candidate, called for the suspension of the CP, saying that his action was partisan, and that showed that, hey, there was no neutral ground anymore, and they felt that wasn't right. So, in case you missed it, I'm going to take you down memory lane for you to take a look at the videos. I'm talking about the videos of the CP arriving in the venue of this City Boy Movement affair. A couple of videos, and then we'll take a look at the posts. Take a listen.
Let's be moving.
There you go. There's also a second video of him inside the hall now, with so many people coming to say hello to him and all. It is huge. Take a listen to that one, because his name is mentioned and all of that. So you know that this is for real.
The CP, Tijani Fatai, and his entourage. And please, we welcome them.
There you go. So that was the CP himself, live and direct. So we'll take a look at that post now, put up by Sahara reporters, that the NDC is calling for the suspension of the CP. NDC demands suspension of Lagos Police Commissioner Fatai over attendance of APC City Boys movement ahead of 2027 elections. Let's take a look at the body of this post now. So Sahara Reporters goes on to say, the Nigerian Democratic Congress, NDC, has called for the immediate suspension and sanction of the Lagos State Commissioner of Police, Tijani Fatai, following his attendance at the inauguration of the executive members of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, City Boys movement in Lagos. The opposition party accused Fatai of compromising the neutrality of the Nigerian police force by appearing at a partisan political event ahead of the forthcoming 2027 general elections. Fatai attended the official inauguration of the State Executive Committee, EXCO, of the Lagos State chapter of the City Boy movement on Tuesday, the 28th of July, 2026, in Ikeja. Fatai arrived, like you saw, in his official convoy, accompanied by an entourage, where he was cheered and greeted by attendees at the venue. So it's a huge, huge one at the moment, and this has really sparked up some massive debate online as we speak. The thing is, the City Boy actually fired their own salvo, and they were saying, look, this is a non-starter. It's not even a thing. Let me take you to the post that the PM put up. Let's take a look. The PM News put up this one now, and it's a response from the City Boy movement to the NDC. PM says City Boy movement fires back at NDC over call for Lagos CP's resignation. Let's take a look at the next post, because it gives us some, meat to this particular one. The PM News says, but the City Boy movement, in a statement signed by its National Director of Media Monitoring and Media Monitoring and Rapid Response, Bashir Ahmad, said the commissioner's presence should not be interpreted as a political endorsement. It maintained that police officers regularly attend or deploy personnel to political, religious, civic, and community gatherings as part of their responsibility to maintain law and order. So this is my question to you, right? Based on what you saw, did that look like the CP was there to maintain law and order, or did it look like he was there to enjoy himself and, of course, received a rousing welcome? This is me posing a question to you. Yeah, I mean, you do diligence and clear it up within yourself, hey? But this is a case that's brewing, and we'll keep our fingers crossed. In fact, our pulse are on this one to see that our fingers are on this one to see how it pans out. So this is not even over yet, because there's another hashtag that has to do with the police in it. So I'm taking you to the next hashtag, which is hashtag VDM. You know him, the content creator, influencer. He's also now described as an activist. It is VDM versus AIG Jimoh. This is huge. So VDM has criticized AIG Jimoh. He called him a corrupt police officer and said that he presented evidence to the court of public opinion. After that, VDM said that the police invited him over because of what he had just said. And he said he refused to go. So there's a huge debate online saying, should a citizen refuse an invitation from the police? Others are saying, VDM, don't go. I smell rat. But let's not jump the gun here. I'll show you the very first post on X now. It's a summation of how this drama is playing out. And then there's a video from VDM. Let's take a look at the first post now, and of course, a video and then responses. Let's take a look at the post first. This is Very Dark Man. And it says, Very Dark Man rejects Lagos police summons over AIG corruption claims. This reminds me of Showore versus the former IGP. This time around, it is Very Dark Man versus the AIG. Well, Very Dark Man shared a genuine summons from the Nigeria Police Force at National Cybercrime Center, dated July 31, 2026, asking him to appear in Lagos on August 10 for an interview tied to a cybercrime case. He refuses, claiming the command under AIG Jimoh, the officer he's accused of corruption, tried to recruit him for damage control and now aims to arrest him there. Instead, he plans to take his evidence to the National Assembly, ICPC, and the NSA, while demanding Inspector General Olatunji Rewan Disu form an independent panel, including himself and his lawyer. Nigeria Stories put up this video, so credit goes to Nigeria Stories for this. Take a listen, guys, to VDM.
From the police in Lagos, they said I should report myself in Lagos, right? This same Lagos that AIG Jimoh is in control of, right? So we'll read the invitation letter together. Then I can now answer them. Hello, Martins Vincent Hotel. I am Detective Abimbola Abiodun, attached to MPF NCCC Lagos Annex, White House inside Adekule Barracks, Adekule Yaba, Lagos. So I will open the letter of invitation. As you can see, the heading of the letter, Nigerian Police Force National Crime Center. They put my phone number. It is dated 31st July 2026. Letter of invitation. The Nigerian Police Force National Cyber Crime Center, MPF NCCC, is investigating a case in which your name featured prominently. Number 2, in furtherance of the above, you are kindly requested to report for an interview with the undersigned through a team leader, MPF NCCC Annex Lagos, as scheduled below. Date, Monday, 10th of August, 2026, right? MPF National Cybercrime Center, first floor, White House, Adekule Police Barrack, Yaba, Lagos. Time, 10 p.m. Your cooperation in this regard will be highly appreciated. So first things first, right? I'm not coming. I'm not going to come. Because all of you answer to CP Moshood Jimoh, to AIG Jimoh Moshood. So I'm not going to come. I'm not the one to be invited. You should invite him. I have evidence how he compromised the case without proper investigation. He pinned murder on a man called Ahmed Tajuddin. I have tendered a lot of evidence. I still have more. Do you understand? I said he is a corrupt policeman. I should not be invited for that. He should be invited. Do you understand? I am the complainant, not him. So you want me to come to Lagos, where Jimoh will manipulate the case? As soon as I don't try, make a deal with you now. They want me to help him do a damage control. I have refused. And now they want to invite me to intimidate me. But let me tell you, you cannot intimidate me because I'm not coming to Lagos. You know why I will not come to Lagos? Because MPF NCCC headquarters is right here in Abuja, and I'm standing in front of it. This is MPF NCCC. This is the headquarters. As you can see, this is the MPF NCCC headquarters. The police force headquarters is in Abuja. I am not coming there. If no one can carry me, Mona can't carry my dead body. Do you understand? But I like the way this case is going. Jimoh Moshood, you are a corrupt police officer. You have compromised the case. I asked you a question, Jimoh Moshood, AIG. I asked you a question. I know what they pay you. I say you no go be IG. You will never be the IG. I asked you a question. 2023, Sherif Salami died. 2024, Prince Ademola Akinloye died. 2026, you arrested 2 suspects in connection to the unalive of Sheriff Salami. The two suspects, I have a video of them where they confess that it is a cultism-related activities that made them unalive Sheriff Salami. There's the video. You refuse to take down the statement. 1 month later, you brought these same people and you led them on and you told them to say it is Ahmed that's unalive, that sent them to unalive Sheriff Salami. That's what you did. The video is there. Months later, these people gave a confessional statement. They wrote in their statement that you, AIG Jimoh, that you tortured them. One person even died in your custody, named David. That when the person died, that was when they now decided to go with what you people have been torturing them for. That was when they now mentioned Ahmed Tajuddin. In one of the videos, the video where they said it was Ahmed that sent them, they called a particular name. That name is Bode. They said they didn't have a direct contact to Ahmed, that it is Bode that contracted them, but Bode told them that it is Ahmed that gave them the money. Where is that Bode? AIG Jimoh, you cannot provide that. Where is the first statement that was recorded? You cannot provide that. You are a corrupt policeman and nobody is taking that one.
It's huge. It's huge. You heard it. There is no point in me repeating what VDM just said. This is huge, I can tell you. So we're waiting to see what the police is going to be doing about this. He said it's not coming to Lagos. Oh my gosh, it's huge. I keep saying it's huge. I'm short of words. But hey, let me take you back to X now so you see how netizens are responding. How is AIG Jimoh gonna spin this narrative is what I'm thinking right now. This is Jano Witt, and it says that AIG has an ulterior motive. So it's important VDM rejects the invitation. And then Jano Witt goes on to say corrupt officials everywhere. But that's not all. What I'm doing is to bring you a microcosm of, the comments. So we'll take a look at the next one and then the next one so you understand how netizens are coming at this from different angles. Let's take a look at the next one. It's still VDM versus AIG Jimoh. So Truth Matters says a citizen refusing to honor a police invitation, implying that he's above the law. And then the next post is sort of re-echoing what this one just said, but totally not a complete re-echo, I should say. This is Mazi Okwama, who says VDM refusing a police invitation because he's dragging the AIG is peak confidence. The guy talks like someone who has direct coverage from the absolute top. And then he goes on to say, this is how you will know he's a government asset. There's been talk, or there've been talks that VDM is a government asset. He's come out to say, look, I'm not. I'm just an ordinary Nigerian who likes justice. And the person who does something similar to what VDM is doing is the AAC presidential candidate, Omoyele Sowore. He also has been called a government asset. He's come out to say no. So, hey, this is a huge story that is brewing. We wait to see how the government, the federal government, state governments, as well as the police authority is going to be handling this one. On that note now, I take you to the next one, which is hashtag demolition. So it is demolition galore in Abuja. The SCT minister, Nyesom Wike, is demolishing properties left, right, and center. In fact, Somto on X put up a video of a man, a Nigerian, lamenting that President Tinubu asked Nigerians in diaspora to come back home, that he heeded the call of the president, came back home, made investments, but had his properties in Abuja demolished, almost running him aground. So he's saying he's leaving Nigeria and he's going back. He said he's just tired. He's not doing it anymore. So let me put up that video for you now. It is hashtag demolition.
Passports. As I'm talking to you now, I'm actually thinking of counting my losses, packing my load and going back and tearing the Nigerian passports. I have friends in the UK that have done it. I'm thinking of that as I speak. I heard rumors about a week ago that they were coming to claim this land from nowhere. Nobody gave me any notification. Nobody came to me with any form of notice. I decided by myself on Sunday to shut the place down and start evacuating my equipment by myself. On Monday, I evacuated some things. Tuesday morning, I had welders here, I had carpenters here, I had masons here, I had people dismantling things. Around 12:01, around 12:01 in the afternoon, bulldozers just came. They saw people on the roof, taking out wood, welders working. They told them to come down and bulldoze the whole place to the ground. Nobody gave me notice. I took a loan from the UK, £75,000 to come and invest in Nigeria. You people say we should come back from diaspora to invest in Nigeria. I've never done one government contract. I don't know anybody in government. I'm not even interested. I came with money from the UK to invest here. So I have to deal with that loan now. 84 staff. 84! That's what I was feeding here. I built this place a year, 3 months ago exactly. That's when I built this place. It's painful. I stood there and I watched it go. Nobody cares. And you're telling me now to convince anybody to come from diaspora to invest in this country? Look at 84 people. What are they going to do? I have a choice. I will go back, count my losses, and find a way of sorting out the loan I took. But look at 84 families just from stopover. There's a place next to me called Barbados. There's Amalashita. There's RM's Dream.
What can I say? What can I say? Credit goes to the PSN for that one. But there are responses from netizens on X. Let's take a look at what they are saying. So Crown says, before you try to bring someone down, take a moment to think about the lives connected to them. Think of the families they feed, the employees whose salaries they pay, and the children whose school fees depend on their success. Crown again says, your actions may affect far more people than you realize. Choose fairness over envy and build people up instead of tearing them down. This is really painful to watch. So I was almost speechless after we're done watching that video, because it's truly painful to watch. You could actually feel the pain, you know, in the tone of that responder's voice. He's going back to the UK, he said. But we have another development, right, you know, regarding the demolition in Abuja. We have a post now, we're going to put it up for you. The FCT minister is saying he's not going to tolerate any kind of illegality. Let's take a look at the post before we take a look at the video. This is Uncle Deji TM, who says, Abuja security crackdown, Wike leads raid on criminal hideout, orders demolition of shanties. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Nyesom Wike, on Friday led security personnel to a suspected criminal hideout in a shanty settlement in Kukwaba district near City Gate, Abuja, immediately after a high-level security meeting. During the inspection, the minister directed the immediate demolition of the settlement, describing it as a haven for criminals who allegedly retreat there after carrying out attacks across the Federal Capital Territory. Wike said the FCT administration will not tolerate any location serving as a sanctuary for criminal elements, stressing that the safety and security of residents remain top priority. There's a video. Let's quickly take a look at it.
moving. Don't even know who said they were. How do you identify them? I didn't even look at them. And this is beside the city. This is a time bomb. There's no way. There's no way we can allow this. So, the CP, so you have to work with them for the security. We can't allow this. Apart from what you have from there. Yeah? This is the security we're talking about. Nobody would allow this. So thank you. Okay.
Well, that's the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike saying he's not going to tolerate any kind of criminality. So it's a good one, yeah, when you demolish criminal hideouts. But how about demolishing the homes, residence, and properties of Nigerians who just want to make a living? Those are two different things. And we are hoping that the FCT Minister will sit down and consider and make a clear distinction between these two. On that note, we wrap it up on Hashtag today. Thanks to everyone who contributed to making the show a success. But the bigger thanks goes to you guys for watching. If you liked it, keep a date again with us for another edition of Hashtag Same Time, Same Station next week. Be sure to enjoy your weekend. Until I come your way again, I am Vivian Uguche. Bye for now.
VOP TV. Now, you have more than a voice.
To know the happenings in the maritime sector, join us on the program Maritime Frontiers on VOP TV as we discuss key areas in the maritime sector from aquaculture, maritime transportation, maritime labor regulation, oil and gas exploration, ferry and passenger insurance, marine pollution and prevention, port operations, and lots more. Maritime Frontiers, exploring Nigeria's blue economy.
Welcome to the locker room, the home of football talk that matters. I am Jerry Ampelon. Join us every weekday, Monday to Friday at 5 p.m. Nigerian time, as we share the hot takes and hot debates in the exciting world of football. And joining me are the usual suspects, Ikechukwu and Mayowa, as we break down all the hot takes and everything that's happening in the football. Don't just watch football, live it with us. Catch us on the locker room and Voice of the People television at 5 p.m. Nigerian time. And like I always say, if not 20 minutes off, with the sport.
This is African News on Voice of the People television, where we don't just bring you the news, we bring you Africa's heartbeats, the policies that shapes our world, and the economy that determines our future. African News on Voice of the People television. Stay with us.
This is Health Check, your weekly guide to better living, smarter choices, and trusted answers. From everyday wellness to urgent health issues, we've got you covered. Health Check, only on Voice of the People television, where your health has a voice.
Behind every broken desk lies a broken promise. Education shapes the nations. But who is asking the right questions? Introducing Edu Dialogue, the show that goes beyond the surface, exposes the cracks, the corruption, and the silence in Nigeria's education system. Edu Dialogue, Saturdays, 3 p.m., only on VOP TV. We break the biggest stories, from missing funds to policy failures. We ask the tough questions and demand real answers. Edu Dialogue, this Saturday, 3 p.m. on Voice of the People television.
Join us as we drive into the world of politics through insightful interviews with prominent political figures, both serving and former governors, ministers, senators, legislators, party chieftains, activists, and analysts. Get first-hand information into the decision-making processes that affect our daily lives. Highly engaging one-hour program that brings political discourse into focus.
I am Chukwuma Okoro.
Political Lens, Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. Join us. In a world where truth is the ultimate power and opinions scream the loudest, it's time to wade through the noise.
Hunger no get tribe! Hunger no get religion!
And scan the human interest and trending topics that matter. Stay tuned to The Issues, your plug to the stories making the buzz, from politics to science and technology, social justice, and more. Let's tackle the tough questions and expose the truth. The Issues, on Voice of the People Television, Mondays to Fridays, 8 to 9 p.m. The Issues. Don't just react, understand.
If you've been drinking, don't drive. Hand over the keys to another driver. Call a friend or family member. Use a taxi or a ride-hailing service. Wait until you're completely sober before getting behind the wheel. A few minutes of inconvenience is far better than a lifetime of regret. Friends, don't stand